Hey everybody, I want to talk about some common sense things from an estate planning standpoint. In December every year, I always do my estate planning class. So you'll see the website for that, my nonprofit organization that we do our education through. And so I wanted to talk about some of the common things that I see out there regularly. And I understand I own a wealth management firm. I'm the primary advisor for a lot of people. And yes, they do pass away. So I learned a lot of lessons in actual practical transferring of wealth to that next generation and how to make things easier. So endless things I could talk about in this, but I'm going to talk about some of the obvious things that I see. You know, when I talk about the truth, as I call it, when I really look at what's going on out there, I want to make sure people understand that surviving family members are not entitled to inherit anything, whether they're grateful or not grateful. It is your wealth. It is your decision on how to pass it on, not your advisors, not your attorneys, not anybody else's. It's your decision. Now, the good thing is that a good advisor can help discuss this openly and figure out what can and can't be done in your situation within parameters. Like for most everybody, anything can be done, but is it really worth it is the next question. You know, a lot of people try to do what I call manage from the grave, but it's usually because the attorney wanted to make things more complicated. And I've got plenty of anecdotes of seeing what happens with that from all sides of it. I have a client that is the designated person in charge of a trust that goes on forever. And she's so upset at her friend for dying and putting this responsibility on her because she has to manage money for their kids and just craziness and things like that. So there's lots of strange little anecdotes that come along with this stuff. So it's easy to focus on the assets and overlook the conflicts that may unfold after you're gone, not only for your heirs, but the people you're putting in charge of things after you're gone as well. Be fair to your children, but remember, fair doesn't always mean equal. Okay. Now, in some people's cases, they need to remember that fair is equal in their minds, but maybe not in yours. And there's a way to work through that. Even the fairest and most carefully structured plan can cause conflict if it comes as a surprise. So you can put all this work into this, and if it's a surprise to the kids, boy, watch it explode. Well, you can't because you're gone, and then it explodes into huge problems. Okay. So involve your children in the conversation and explore inheritance options that can work for everyone. That doesn't mean they need to know details. It just means that you have to be open with the way you're thinking about this, whether it's millions of dollars or $5. Just talk about it as the money that's left over. Here's what we're doing and why. Okay, so it doesn't come to a surprise. That's the important part. The non-negotiable part is clear communication. Okay, that needs to be had. It's very important. So this is easy. The first part I want to warn you about, don't fall victim to attorneys that purposely overcomplicate your situation to create more work. Not only more work for you, for them. It's them I'm worried about, and then your heirs, and then the people that are in charge of things that may not even be inheriting anything. My client that has to now manage this $1 million account for kids that are quote unquote irresponsible and can't have all the money all at once. It's not fair to a lot of people. So look, there is a reason attorneys like to overcomplicate. There is a reason every attorney wants you to have a trust instead of a will, and it has nothing to do with probate. I see as many people in probate with trusts than I do with wills. Certainly you're going to probate if you have neither, but the reality is people make endless mistakes with their trusts that end up being probatable issues. Okay, so no matter what your state limits are, you can avoid probate with a will or a trust when it's done properly. Now, there are some states that you're going to need a trust to transfer real estate, but the vast majority of people can simplify things with a will. Talk to your family and don't have to be specific. So again, you can just talk about the money that's left over, the house, the this, the that. It's very important that they at least understand your wishes and then follow it up with a letter of intent in your language, not a lawyer speak. Just sit down, type up, write out, do whatever it is that you want to do, but tell them why you did what you did. Okay? It lessens the blow if it's a surprise, but if you're following my instructions, nothing should be a surprise. Okay? Will-based plans are best for most, but lawyers don't want you to know this. Okay? It's important we understand your needs and decide what's best for you, not what the lawyer wants to do. The more complicated they can make it, not only are they going to make more money from you, but they're going to make more money from your heirs because your heirs are going to have no idea what to do. Vast majority of my clients, we jump in and help settle the estates for all of our clients. So the kids just call us and we jump in and help. That's what happens. And honestly, when we say help, it doesn't take much. When things are done properly, give me some death certificates, we'll get the accounts transferred and we're done. It's really that simple. It's not hard. People get so overwhelmed, but it's usually because somebody way overcomplicated a situation. Lawyers convinced my parents my sister wasn't responsible enough to get a lump sum of money all at once. And I said, that's absolutely ridiculous. Lawyers can convince you of anything. So we got to pull back that desire to manage from the grave in some people's cases. Look, you got special needs kids, you got young kids, all these things. There's lots of valid reasons to manage this money, put stipulations on this money being dispersed after you pass away. Lots of great reasons. But I see it really pushing the wrong side way too often. So uncomplicate things the best that you can. That is going to make things easier for everybody. And here's what I find really helps people understand the truth, right? How property transfers. Once we start realizing this, it makes everything make more sense. So think about the top priority from a legal standpoint is title paperwork. There's title paperwork on bank accounts. There's title paperwork on investment accounts. There's title paperwork on your house, on your car. Okay? Assets will transfer if an owner is still alive. The vast majority of these accounts are called joint tenancy or joint rights with rights of survivorship, meaning if one of them passes away, the other one is already the owner. Nothing changes. You avoid probate. Okay? So title paperwork comes first. That's the first thing they look at. You own a house jointly, somebody passes away, it's okay. Nothing needs to be done. Okay? Next. Beneficiary designations, the legal priority number 2, just under the title paperwork. Okay, assets transferred, what they call by contract. They avoid probate, right? So I want you to think through this. Your beneficiaries are more important than your will or trust. So every single account you have out there, any monetary account, any insurance account, any life insurance, anything with any cash value whatsoever has the ability to put beneficiaries. They call them TOD, transfer on death at your bank, most likely. When it's an IRA or a Roth account, they are called beneficiaries. Nowadays, you can't even open up one of those accounts or a 401k. You can't even open them up now without putting at least one beneficiary on there. Beneficiaries are priority number 2, period. They look at the owners, then they look at the beneficiaries listed on there. They transfer the money, it avoids probate. So all your money can be handled by beneficiaries. Believe it or not, a lot of states, the motor vehicle department allows you to put a beneficiary on your car. Here in Arizona, it's quick and easy. It's available online. Very simple. Okay. So you have all your money that should be covered by beneficiaries. You have some people in some situations, cars, which lawyers don't even want to put your car in the trust for silly reasons. And then there's the houses. More than half the states in the United States allow you to put a beneficiary on the title of your house. That's the one that is the stickler there, right? So little less than half the states are going to require a trust to transfer real estate, whereas a lot of those states, more than half of those states out there, allow you to put a beneficiary on the title of the house. So for a lot of people, it's your house, your cars, your money, everything, all of that transfers without a will or a trust. Holy cow, the light bulbs start going off there. So really, what's the will and the trust for? Well, it's for everything you forgot to do properly up here. Or maybe if you have minor children, you need to be able to name somebody in charge of those minor children. There's so many scenarios where it lies outside of just getting the money from here to there, or the car from here to there, or the house from here to there. There's other things. It's all that other stuff that the will and the trust is there for. The more complicated it is, the more you're going to need a trust. The less complicated it is, the easier it is to use a will. Because let's be honest, when you pass away, your heirs are going to get this big book called a trust. They are going to see the lawyer's card in there and call the lawyer, and the lawyer is going to start charging by the minute. And oh, by the way, to settle the estate, oh, that's a lot of hours of work. It is to a lawyer, but it is not to an advisor. It is really simple. Unfortunately, I've done this regularly every single year. And as long as we have all the beneficiaries listed properly, whether it's a will or a trust, we still have to have the title paperwork done right, the beneficiaries done right. As long as that's all done properly, it's simple. It is very simple to settle an estate. People overcomplicate it because they have no idea what they're doing. When there's people that know what they're doing and actually understand where the accounts are, the advisor is going to be way better at settling the estate than the lawyer, and the lawyer is going to charge a lot. I got news for you. The advisor wants the heirs as their clients. They're going to be willing to jump in and help settle that estate. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to charge anything for it because they want you as a client if you aren't already. Okay? Gifting, be careful about late life gifting. This is where arguments ensue. You know, I'll use my own life. My sister has 3 kids. I have 1 kid. My parents have been very generous in gifting in terms of taking them on a high school graduation big trip, to setting funds aside to help them get started after college, things like that. They've done little things but they've always done things. Because my sister has 3 kids, there's been a lot more gifting going to her. I could easily argue that I should get more when my parents pass away. I'm not, because guess what my parents did? They were open and honest about all of it. There is no surprise. We understand what the situation is. We're not going to argue. There's no feelings of bad intent there whatsoever. So the reality is through communication, we help all this. But boy, late life gifting, be careful. I mean, I've watched clients give one child hundreds of thousands of dollars to, keep them going, versus another kid who's successful and doesn't need to worry about having parents help them out. So just be careful about this. Be mindful of this. If you're willing to give one kid $10,000, you should be able to give both of them $10,000. So those are the things that help keep things fair, but there's also open communication as well. The other situation I run into that I find difficult is, for instance, my wife took care of my mother-in-law. There were 4 kids, and my wife was 100% of the caregiver for my mother-in-law for over 10 years of Alzheimer's. Now, my mother-in-law didn't have wealth to pass, but I can imagine people in multi-million dollar situations. I see it right now for clients that are taking care of parents and they have a bunch of siblings that do nothing. Should the one that takes care of the parent be the one that inherits more? It's a tough question for a lot of people's situations. And for yourself, if you're thinking about who's going to care for you, look, I made it easy. I only have 1 kid. Every time I changed her diapers, I told her she has to change mine. So I only have one person to give it to, but let's say my sister's family, she grows nice and old and only one kid jumps in to take care of them. Well, maybe that's a reason to have a trust and put provisions in there for the person that cares for you to get a larger portion. So there's lots of things to think about. But these are discussions you have before you go talk to a lawyer. So advisors can be good to just have a discussion with and come up with a format, and a lot of states allow advisors to use software to create planning documents, even trusts and wills and things like that. So once you've had all these conversations, once you kind of know the path that you want to go on, it can be a lot cheaper than going to a lawyer in some cases. But I still say the more difficult, more complicated your situation, I usually will refer that off to an attorney to craft a unique document for them. But the vast majority of people just need a doc because all the work is up here. Title paperwork, beneficiary paperwork, and the advisors can do most all of that. All right. I hope that helps. All right, yourinvestmentcounselor.com. If you want to meet and greet with me, actually me, yes, I'm not just a talking head. This is something I enjoy. I enjoy all the retirement planning side of this, but also making sure that things are in line and less complicated. It's good to have these conversations with a good advisor. So yourinvestmentcounselor.com. Happy to chat with you and see where I can help. fpfeaz.org. That's where you register for the full format classes I do over Zoom. And those are different topic every single month. December is the estate planning class month that I do. We also are recording these classes and making them available for later as well. Phone number 800-345-3155. sesweb.net is where you'll find a full setup of all the big classes that I teach, the hour and a half-ish long classes. Like, share, subscribe below, do all those wonderful things. We got new videos every week, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.